Hi, and welcome to another episode of Perfectly Twisted. I'm Nicole Eggert, and that is Dave Palais with me.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I was thinking about you this morning when they were talking about the Macy's Day Parade.
Yeah, my crazy bet.
Your crazy bet. Dave has a bet going that he believes that the parade will continue, and he has a friend that is betting that this is the last year. And I want to tell you, they added 7 new floats to the parade this year.
Oh, fantastic. That's
So
good for me.
that doesn't sound like a dying parade to me.
No.
Just saying.
It's good for me. It's a major deal. It's like a major trash talk with friends kind of a deal. We've been doing this for years. And so people who aren't aware is I have a bet with someone that it has to go more than 100 years. And we're coming up on 100 in just a few years. And the loser has to take the other person to the best steak restaurant they can find and watch the other guy eat. The other person's not allowed to eat. They have to, except for a dry salad and water. They can't even put dressing on the salad while the other person eats, and the person has to pay for it. So, I think it's the trash talking that hurts so much, about how many different ways can you tell a friend how stupid they are is kind of what we're doing.
Well, I don't know. That dinner sounds pretty painful.
I guarantee we're going to record it. We're going to end up recording this dinner.
Yeah, that's
he's in media. He's in media too, so it's going to be somehow it's going to show up.
Okay, well, to make it a good video, you have to get some of the trash talking beforehand also recorded.
Yes.
So I want to do a quick product alert that landed on my desk that I found fascinating. Unfortunately, I got these after I already got my reconstruction, but I see the value and the amazingness of this product. They're called Boost, and you can find them at wewearboost.com, and they are bra inserts for when you've had your mammogram. And okay, so anybody that's listening and can't see, it is it's like an artificial boob that you put in your bra, but these ones are made of silicone, and when you're finished with them, luckily if you're done and you don't need them anymore, you send them back to the company and they upcycle them. But the difference between these, not only are they really cute, they come in fun colors like pink and turquoise, and there's a black, and they have really fun designs in them. But what is amazing about the designs is that it allows for water flow. So you can wear these in the pool, at the spa, in the shower. You can wear these, and you're not going to have that moment of, you've seen the movies where there's like the boob cutlet floating in the pool or floating in the hot tub. Who does this belong to? You won't have that problem with these. So and also, like, if you go in saunas or steam rooms, anybody that wears them, when you just have that solid cutlet on you, the sweat factor and the gross factor and the chance of losing it is so high. And with this, they're breathable. They're just completely breathable, which I imagine is amazing for exercise as well. And you just they're easily washable, and they come obviously in different sizes. They're pretty lightweight. And they're just adorable. They're fun. They made the designs fun. So again, it's Boost, Boost, and you can find them at wewearboost.com. Really fun product. Just because when you have to stuff your bra like that, it's just great to have something fun and so useful. And so I love the idea of it being able to breathe and flow. And so good job, Boost. Thank you. So we've got great guests today. I'm super excited. I love a self-help book. I'm forever trying to evolve and be a better human, and show up for my family. So I read this great book. It's called Real Skills for Real Life. Very comprehensive, right? It's fantastic. It's one of those books that you can pick up and just start right away. I felt like it was kind of like a user, like the instructions to life right there. It just really walks you through it. So we have Dr. Shireen Rizvi and Dr. Jessie Finkelstein.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed it. I felt like it was like a user guide. It really was. It was like you pick it up and you could just get started right away. I loved the diagrams, I loved the visuals, because sometimes, like, I liked it when it's like, is the problem solvable? And then there was the dots to yes, but not right now, and then the dots to no.
Yeah, we often don't ask ourselves those questions, right?
Right. Or it just sits in our subconscious, right? So we'll read the book and we'll think, oh, we'll get to this later.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. That's what happens to me, at least.
And I think it's hard to even imagine sometimes that some problems are not solvable. Like that's a hard thing to accept. So I think even sort of just bringing that to our awareness, like, okay, there are some problems that we might not be able to solve in this moment, can be really sort of liberating in a lot of ways.
You're right. And you know what also is, like, a lot of times people will say it's not solvable and they'll just shut the door on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the other end of it.
Bury your head in the sand and try to forget that it even exists. Yeah.
Right. Or just live with it. Yeah. Right. Put it away in that box. And I've done that. I'm guilty of doing that. And you put it away and you're like, not dealing with that. That didn't happen. And I feel like your book really addresses, like, no, if it's not solvable, like, what's next? How do we move forward with that? And I think that kind of sets it apart from other books.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So when we were approaching this book, we were really thinking about, Shireen and I are both DBT clinicians, and this is a treatment that, has been developed to help folks who experience intense suffering. And the sort of the driving idea behind it was like, how do we take these skills, this knowledge, this understanding of how this treatment works, and offer it to as many people, or make it as widely available and accessible as possible. So I think what you're describing really sort of warms my heart, because it speaks to very much like the mission of what we were trying to do with the book.
Well, DBT was not, you made me familiar with it. I had not heard of it before. So for everybody who's listening who is not familiar with it, will you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So DBT stands for dialectical behavior therapy, and it is a form of cognitive behavioral therapy. So lots of times people have heard of CBT, but if you haven't heard of CBT, then we can also talk about how some of the critical elements of both CBT and DBT, which is that it's a form of therapy that's really focused on the present, how you can improve your functioning and your life satisfaction kind of in the here and now by teaching people new behaviors, new skills, teaching them different ways to think about their experiences and their problems. So changing both the cognitions, the cognitive piece, the thinking piece, as well as the behavioral piece, what you need to do differently. And DBT as a form of that was developed, as Jesse mentioned, it was originally developed for people who met criteria for a disorder called borderline personality disorder, or BPD. And it was developed for that population specifically because at the time, this was, Marsha Linehan, who developed the treatment, developed it starting in the early 80s. That was a disorder that was considered untreatable at the time. And she's a person who likes a challenge and wants to help people with any kind of suffering they have. And so thought, how can I take cognitive behavioral therapy, which we know works for so many people, and apply it to folks with borderline personality disorder? And what she found is that standard cognitive behavioral therapy had some limits with this group. One limit that it had was that it didn't sufficiently validate the person's pain and suffering. Kind of standard CBT, just to oversimplify, goes straight into, okay, these are thoughts that are problems for you. Let's change those thoughts. These are behaviors that are problems for you. Let's change those behaviors. And individuals with borderline personality disorder were reacting very strongly to that emphasis on change, because even though they wanted their lives to be different, they felt like the therapist didn't truly understand how difficult their problems were if they thought they could just change it right away. So one aspect of DBT that was not in earlier iterations of CBT is to add a lot of validation, basically telling people how what they're experiencing makes sense and is valid based on their history, based on the world as it is, based on the current situation. So that's like one way in which DBT evolved from standard CBT. And there's loads of research studies that have been done that show that DBT is effective for people with borderline personality disorder, but also that it's effective for reducing depression and anxiety and other mental health problems.
I love that. Yeah, because I think validation is really important, right? When you feel heard or when you feel seen, it's kind of like such a weight gets lifted off of you. It's just a natural human reaction, I feel like. And I think a lot of people are missing that. And especially when they keep it to themselves. And, it's hard. It's hard to share all these feelings and trauma and just whatever you're going through. It's hard to share it. But when you do, and then you're not heard, or you're not seen or you're not validated, that can be really tough. And I know I see that happening in real time with friends and family. And the difference of being heard and seen is just, it's a game changer.
I mean, we talk about how there's like a loneliness epidemic. And, in many ways, I think of validation at times to be a bit of an antidote to loneliness, in the respect that it is the experience, Nicole, of what you've described, of another person really seeing you, hearing you, communicating what your experience, how it makes sense, to arrive at a place of like connection. And I think that maybe there's a bit of like at times like within many cultures, like within our time period right now, of like a validation skills deficit. We don't necessarily always know how to recognize and to hold the truth and sit with the pain of others.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also when you're holding the pain, the first step is, are you able to share it? Are you willing to share it? And then the second step is, who do you share it with? Like, who's going to be that person, to hear you or see you? And I remember back I was going through a really tough time many years ago, and I was keeping it all to myself and holding it in. And when I finally vented and let it all out to a friend who just heard me and understood me and also was sharing a struggle, and she was able to tell me that she was sharing a similar struggle, I couldn't believe the power and the strength I gained from just that conversation. And it's not like it changed anything like in the world, but it changed something inside of me to be able to tackle what I was going through with a different kind of strength.
Yeah, it's like a normalization, right? That you are not the only one in the world who is going through this. And if another person is experiencing something similar to you, it can make you feel less alone, but it can also make you feel like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one. And maybe we can figure out how to do something different now. And that was one of the ways we introduced this book, actually, is to say, these skills were developed because we all struggle. We all have problems. Our problems are universal. Suffering is universal. And sometimes knowing that, like, it actually comforts me sometimes to know I am not the only one who has gone through this, struggle with parenting or this health struggle or whatever it is. And that makes me feel better when I know that I'm not the only one. And that's a key element to the validation piece.
100%. I feel like, and a lot of times people will feel like nobody will understand. Like they'll have this inner dialogue of nobody else will understand. Nobody else is going through this. Everybody else looks so happy, right? Everybody else looks like they've got their life together. And the fact is, and the truth is that everybody, like you said, everybody is struggling. And just people struggle in different ways, or they just have different ways of dealing with it or hiding it.
Or expressing it. Yeah.
And it's kind of Go ahead, Nicole, please.
No, please. No.
I was just saying, like, in my mind as you were speaking, I was thinking about the how social media intersects with all of this, and like the performance of non-suffering, and like, you know, how many folks I work with, myself, friends, who are just like, oh, but this person's doing great, and that person's life is wonderful, and it really is, you know, it is hard to hold in mind that everyone experiences pain. It doesn't matter like how great your Instagram post is and how wonderful your life appears. Pain is universal.
It certainly is. I know. And I try on my Instagram. It's interesting that you say that, because like on my Instagram, I try to show some of the pain and the ugly, and I'll record on a really bad day. And it's funny because I will get comments saying, why are you posting this? You know, nobody wants to see you suffering. And it's like, you can't win either way, right? So but sharing makes people know like you're not alone, because people will say, oh, you look great. You look this. And it's like, yeah, looks can be very deceiving. There are very bad days too. And I want to share that. And I want to open that conversation and that communication and have those talks, because the truth is that one day is fabulous and the next day is terrible.
Yeah. And that's why we wrote this book, is because we want people to know that they have options available to them, including, you know, sometimes doing nothing and just saying, I'm just going to sit with the pain of this moment, whatever this moment is. That's always an option for people. And we want people to know that there's other things that they can do as well.
Well, I think you break it down really well, and very like simple. I felt like it was like user guide, like you know, it's here's the skill set. Here's let's address the problem. Here's the skill set. And it's like one of those adventure books where, you know, you pick the ending. Do you want to work on it right now? If so, you know, if you want to deal with it later, this is what you do. If you know, so I really thought that was. It takes the daunting, like it takes the pressure off, because sometimes I think also people feel they'll have a self-help book sitting there, and the anticipation of reading it leads to procrastination, right?
Yes.
And because you don't want to deal with it.
No.
But once you open it and you start reading, I feel like chances are you're probably going to continue reading, especially when it's as comprehensive and broken down the way you guys have done it. It makes it like, okay, yeah, I get this. I relate to this. I can move forward with this. And it's like these easy steps, and not a lot of word salad that people start to like, you know, drift off. I felt like, and I want to say basic, but basic isn't really the word, but it is like, I guess comprehensive is a better. So how long did you guys take? Like, how long was this book in the works? Tell me a bit about that and how you came to get together and write this.
So I am a mid-career switcher. I had like a background in like design and illustration and stuff, and then I went back to graduate school for clinical psychology. And Shireen was my professor for my CBT foundations class. And I immediately got hooked on the modality, the way that Shireen discussed CBT treatments, DBT, and I eagerly asked to join her DBT lab. And from there, over COVID, Shireen had a grant and to develop videos for DBT videos based on some of the skills that you've read about in the books for folks struggling, or just for really anyone. And we created these videos and they became very popular. And from there, we were like, okay, there's something here. Like these skills, which we find to be enormously helpful, which the clients we work with find to be enormously helpful. These are life living skills that perhaps everyone could benefit from. Okay, how do we package them? How do we communicate them in a way that's available and accessible for everyone? Shireen, what am I leaving out from this story?
I love that story. And It took years, Nicole.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, but it took years. Really, we knew what our vision was. How do we make the skills from this treatment more accessible, more user-friendly? How do we use Jesse's amazing skills at graphic design? Because the other thing that he brought to me, which I thought was really a life changer for me, was talking about how psychologists are really bad at marketing and making our science look good. We are just notoriously bad about that. We do all of this. We do research studies. We, millions of dollars in research studies and labs and treatment development, and it goes nowhere because nobody understands it or hears about it. So that background that Jesse described really infused life into what we were doing, because how do we take these principles of a treatment that, for example, Nicole, you hadn't heard about, and get it out there into the world in a way that people find appealing, is something that I hadn't really thought about, or I had thought about, but I didn't know how to do it. So we had a vision for this book to do that. And then it was just lots and lots of time and meetings and word choices and illustration choices, and really trying to figure it. And fonts, we spend so much time on fonts to figure out like what's the psychology of fonts, like what makes people want to read a book versus find it too off-putting. So it was, all that said, it was an enjoyable process, and I'm glad we have it out there now.
Well, first of all, Jesse, congratulations to you. Bravo to you for doing the career change.
Thank you.
Because that's a big thing. And anybody thinking about doing it, this is a perfect example of taking that leap of faith, following your heart, your soul, your spirit, and then having a successful journey like this. Like that's just amazing.
Something that I only learned in graduate school, which I'd never thought about prior to this, and might sound very odd, but I never really understood or thought about my values, or like what I wanted, like what I was moving towards in life. And I think when I got to graduate school and I began to study DBT with Shireen, and this idea of like holding in mind our life worth living goals. And this is something that we talk about in the book. Like, we evaluate the effectiveness of any skill, of any action on the question, is it helping you move towards your goals? And that was really not front and center in my mind until I got to graduate school. And I will say, like, now that I am conscious of that, it's pretty radical. Like, it's changed the way that I experience myself and others. And I think that's a helpful orientation that we sort of ground the book in.
Yes. And I find it fascinating. And I don't know if it's our culture, but so many people suffer from that. It seems like we go to school, maybe we're pressured into just jumping into a career, making a decision so early in life, right? Like you're way too young to really decide what you're going to do forever. And then you do it, you invest all this money and all this time. So maybe you feel a guilt to continue with it. It's just because education is so expensive in this country, I feel like a lot of times people have this extra burden of sticking with something because that's what they chose, and now they're in debt for it, and etc. Right? So I really, I love that whenever you can introduce and help people along with, no, you can change your mind.
Yeah.
You can follow your spirit, and go with what makes you happy.
Yeah, best decision I ever made in my entire life.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that now. Let's see what happens tomorrow.
Well, listen, if you feel that now, it's worth that feeling right now, right?
You know what? Like,
now is all you have.
You took the words out of my mouth. Now is all we got. In this moment, I'm sitting easy.
And that's everything. That's what we're talking about, and that's what you're describing. And I thank you so much for doing it. Is there a place where people can see the videos that you guys were talking about? Because I think sometimes people are visual learners. So is there a place for that?
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and our channel is DBTRU. So if you go to youtube.com/DBTRU, I also have them linked on my website, which is ShireenRizvi.com. People will have to look up how to spell my name.
Rizvi.
Yes.
Actually simple. So
Yeah.
definitely check that out, because if you do like to just click and get it, but you can also get the book immediately too, right? Tell us about where we can find the book, and can we download it and all of that good stuff.
So you can find it on, I guess, all the major retailers, Amazon. You can also head to the Guilford Press website, guilfordpress.com. You can find it on our respective websites. So, ShireenRizvi.com. Mine is accesscbt.com. And yeah, it is available in like Kindle form or ebook form on all those, Amazon, etc.
And it's also hard copy, obviously, for people like me who like a book in your hand still. You can order that. It's just really a great read. It is, and it's not overwhelmingly long, which is
Yes.
always like, because I love it, because it's a handbook, because you can go back to it and quickly find what it is you're looking for, right? Because sometimes we read things and then we want to go back and keep working on it. So I felt like it's not a book that's so long that you get lost in it. It's definitely all right there. And yes, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing and putting in all that hard work so that we can have this book to help so many. Real skills for real life. I mean, it says it all. Great title.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
So
Thanks,
great
Nicole.
meeting you.
You too.
Bye.
There you go. That was great. No,
Yeah.
that
Really
was
a great book. It's really, really a great book. It I find like there's a couple books in life, not that many, that I feel like I keep it close by. It's not like
Yeah.
I read it and put it away somewhere so that you can go back and reference things. It's going to be one of those books for me for sure.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
There you go. That's cool. That's cool. All right, I got to ask you, just completely off topic of what
Yeah.
the interview is. I am freezing today as we get closer to Thanksgiving and the holidays. It is like 47 degrees outside, and I'm sitting there looking at you right now with one shoulder out like Sandy from Greece. Like, what's the temperature in your place right now?
Well, I have central heat.
Yeah. See, I've not gone.
I have central air.
I'm refusing to turn the heat on because I was complaining up until about 2 weeks ago how I'm tired of being hot. So I'm like, I'm going to enjoy the cold. But today is kind of bitter cold, pretty cold.
So I do this thing where I turn it off in the evening and I go the whole night. I actually open a window and turn on my ceiling fan and wear very small pajamas to bed, because I do get night sweats. So people, women going through this, they can relate. And I don't get hot flashes like during the day. I get it when I lay down to go to sleep, which is, I don't know. It's good and bad. So at least I'm not doing this in public. I'm doing it in private, but it's when I want to lay down and relax. All of a sudden I'm tingling and burning and all these things. So, and last night was particularly cold. So it's freezing in my place. And then when I wake up early, I turn on the heat so that when Keegan gets up for school, she's not, she's not a popsicle. So in my place, I mean, it's a great heater. It heats up pretty darn fast. And this is a sweater. Yeah, one shoulder's out, but it's a big sweater. So it's like, and I also have like a really comfy, like house coat thing that I have laying around. So if I get chilly, I just throw that on. But I it keeps me alive. It makes me feel good. Keeps me awake.
No, I get you. It's funny. Today I went out and it was 47 degrees, took the dog out for a walk. And I was like, all right, I think today's the last day I walk in shorts. Like it was, I felt it, and I was like, you have that chill in you that you just can't seem to shake. And then I was like, I've been cold for the last few hours. And then I'm looking at you going, what the hell temperature is it where she's at?
Well, the sun is out. So it's not, it wasn't that cold when the girls went to school, but it's like, I find that there's only a couple days a year we get to wear a jacket.
Yes.
So it's like, this is that time. Like, which jacket do I get to wear? Choose wisely, because there's only going to be a couple times we get to wear it. So, you know,
That is funny. I always laugh when, yeah, I mean, obviously you spend time on the East Coast. I've spent time, in the South where it gets cold. And one of the things they have when you walk into a room or an office building or even a hotel, you see the coat rack. Like people walk around, they have a coat. You walk into your office, you take your coat off, you put it on a coat rack. In
yeah,
California, you don't have those. You don't need
nothing.
those.
No,
Yeah,
you're struggling, right? Like you're either
yeah,
wearing it and sweating, or
yeah.
you're carrying it and you look like a clown because you're
You look
dropping
like a
everything.
clown.
Yeah.
You look like a clown. And I remember when I was a kid and my parents would have parties and people would come over, there was that one room where people just gave you your coat and they just stacked them on top of a bed in a guest room. And there'd just be a pile of coats.
Yeah.
And then it was time for people to leave. And you're like, which one's yours? And it was ridiculous,
Yeah.
and seeing how many coats and trying to get, because people didn't leave in the same order they walked in. So now
Sure.
you're sitting there trying to find whose coat's whose. The whole thing was a hassle.
And hopefully you're sober enough to pick the
Yeah.
right coat.
Yes.
Right?
That's the way it goes.
Those holiday parties, they can get you.
They get you. And I always laugh. What's funny is with the way men dress is you're seeing in the East Coast. I would say guys are so lazy, but you see the quarter zip. Guys have been wearing these quarter zips forever. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? The
No.
sweater. It's the zip that doesn't go all the way down like a sweater or jacket. It just goes quarter down. And you'll see men wear it with either they'll wear just that with dress pants, or they'll wear a vest over it with a tie, like a suit jacket, and then they start layering like crazy. You'll notice it on the East Coast a lot. And I'm like, what's the deal with these goddamn quarter zips that everyone on the East Coast has to wear? It always kind of cracks me up. I'm like, is it quarter zip weather? Is that how I always look at it and just shake my head and go, man, if I ever move, I got to be a quarter zip guy, I guess. I don't want to be a quarter zip guy.
only for a week. Only for a week. Yeah.
Anyway, that's the way it goes. So we have the holidays coming up, starting Thanksgiving next week. Are you leaving town? You staying in town?
I'm actually staying in town, and we have accepted an invite to go with some friends and their family for Thanksgiving dinner. So my cooking will be very limited.
Good.
Keegan was like, no, I don't want to go anywhere because she hates Thanksgiving dinner. She's like, I won't be able to eat anything. And I'm like, no. There's going to be kids there, so they're going to have other dishes also. And she's like, no, you have to make the stuffing. I make the stuffing that's kind of a meal all in itself.
That's awesome.
So I will make the stuffing, and then I committed to making cranberry sauce for the party, for the dinner. So I got all my organic cranberries, and I'll be doing that. And so it'll be like really nice to go somewhere and not have to
do the
cook
turkey
and not have to do the dishes, because I find Thanksgiving to be a bit of like it doesn't really have the ROI that I like.
Good point.
Do you know what I mean? Like
I
Christmas
know.
dinner, it's a little different. It's very like, it's great. I enjoy it better. I mean, some people really love Thanksgiving dinner. I'm not as thrilled with it. And you have so many leftovers, and oh my God, I'm so sick of turkey dinner by then. But so yeah, the ROI on Thanksgiving to me can be a little underwhelming. So I'm going to see what it's like to go somewhere else and not
There
have
you
to
go.
do all of that.
Yeah, it might not be so bad. It might be, I'm just going to wait for invites every year and I'm never doing it again. Who knows?
Well, and it's a really fun family, and it's one of Keegan's good friends at school,
awesome.
fellow cheerleader. I really like the parents, which is rare.
What's funny is now there are people that will see you say that and go, I wonder if I'm one of them she hates or likes. She said it's rare.
No, those people probably don't watch this.
That's what you always think until you find out they're watching. Yeah, that's kind of the way it goes. It's I got to ask you this question, because this is always something in radio that always bothered me, made me nervous, was when people come up to me and say, hey, I listen to your show, and I go, oh. Like then in my mind goes bad, like everything bad I've ever said or regretted saying into a microphone, going, oh, what did they hear? When people come up to you, because it's different. I mean, you're a skilled actress. If someone says to you, hey, I watched that, Do you always take it as a compliment, or do you
Yes.
just kind of go, you should? Yeah, you should.
I'm always very surprised at the loyal listeners
Yeah.
and very pleasantly surprised and excited. And it gives me purpose to keep going. It makes me realize that this isn't all falling on deaf ears.
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That there are people that get something out of it and there are people that enjoy it. And that's why we do it. And I love it. No, I get very excited. And if they keep coming back, that means they're not offended.
No. So, what's funny is I see a lot of stuff, and I'm sure it's my age and, my Instagram feed, but I get a lot. You talked about John Hughes a couple weeks ago and how important John Hughes movies were to both of us. And you're seeing where people were then and where they are now. And, you can hear music and it takes you right back to where you were when, you saw this movie, whatever they're 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, whatever. But for you, you're kind of part of that. It's really kind of wild. You probably look at pictures and stuff and go, I remember that, because you look at it from the other side. But there are people who were experiencing, they see you, let's say Baywatch, Charles in Charge, and they're going, I remember where I was in high school, where I was what TV I used to watch that on, and where I was. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
kind of weird that you're on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love that. I love
Yeah.
that I can be a part of that I can do that for anybody. That really makes me feel like this whole life was worth something.
I'm glad, I'll be honest, I'm glad to hear you say that you answer that just the way I was hoping you would answer that, is that you're glad to be part of the memory. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
That's
Yeah, it's pretty
exciting
cool.
for me, and because, the memories for me are different,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I have very fond, some are not great memories, but
Yeah.
for the most part, like, the shows really hold, a place in my heart, and, they're something I am proud of, and they were such a big part of my life in a different way that they're a part of other people's lives.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was worth it is just, yeah, it's the warm and fuzzies. That's everything.
That is cool. Do you want to get to some questions before we get out?
Oh, sure. Oh, and you know what? I think it was Timothy
Okay.
asked me, I believe it was Timothy, forgive me if I'm mistaken, but he said, who would I like to portray? And it came up the other day that it could be Mia Farrow,
Oh, no way. That's a good
especially
one.
with circumstances. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought of that, um, other than my current circumstances and my current look, should we
Yeah.
say, led me to believe that, oh, wait, wow, fascinating story.
Yeah.
And a contender. Like, that would be amazing.
That's a
So,
good
putting that
poll
out
right
there
there.
in the
Yeah.
universe. Yeah.
That would be something else. That's a good
Right?
one right there.
That's a good one, right? I
Yeah,
think so. Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Actually, god dang, it would be a perfect match. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I needed some thought on that one, but it came to me. And yeah. So
yeah.
to answer that question.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I like it. Let's put that one out there. Oh
Yeah.
boy. All right. Here we go. Let's go to Nicole's mailbag. Again, perfectlytwistedpod.com. The mailbag's at the top of the screen. You get your questions in. We have 5 questions from Shyla. Okay.
Shyla. Okay.
Who is your most sorry. Which celebrity is hold on, sorry, Shyla. Let me get this right here. I'm trying to do this without my glasses, Nicole, and I'm getting older and it's getting worse. I'm gonna have to put the glasses on.
Why do you do that? Yeah, put your glasses on.
Okay,
It's
here's the
too
deal. I just don't
frustrating
like the
without
way
them.
I look with glasses and a hat. I don't mind glasses without a hat. I just don't like the way I look with glasses and a hat. But my vision is just getting worse, and it's just sad. So
I'm
depressing.
with you, babe. I'm with you.
Oh my gosh. All right. Who is the most liked celebrity of your lifetime?
Who is the most liked?
Like, who was the most popular celebrity, I think is what she's saying, of your lifetime? Like, people say good things about is the way I'm reading this.
I mean, people love David Hasselhoff. Let's just start there. That's like such a big one. People love him. But aside from, like, if she means outside my career, I mean, they were talking about Tom Cruise the other day. I was like, I mean, talk about somebody that people love. He has something like 47 big box office
Yeah.
movies under his belt. I mean, so he is loved. Who else?
Were there people off camera that we wouldn't know that you go, you know what, off camera, that person's a great person? Like, does that stand out to you at all?
Well, Yeah, I mean, listen, Tony Danza was somebody that was really great. I
Yeah.
look at William Shatner and I'm like, okay, these are people who have had really long careers, have never been disgraced. You don't hear bad things about
Yeah.
them. They have longevity. They're beloved. You say that name and people smile,
Yeah.
right? Or people bring those names up to you. I worked with Daryl Hannah. I want to say that I loved Daryl Hannah. She was big in my life. I loved Splash, and then
Yeah.
I
Me
got
too.
to shoot a movie with her. And so I always looked at her as just such a gorgeous, strong female. And she's a philanthropist, and she does great things.
Yeah.
So in my experience, like she's amazing. Who else? I mean, there's lots of wonderful people. I know I'm leaving somebody out, but that's a tough one. It's a tough one.
You know what's interesting about that is because of social media and access people have, obviously everybody has a camera in their hand at all times. I think if somebody does something bad, a celebrity, it's obviously going to be shown quick. I mean, there were celebrities when I was, a kid, you had, no idea. I mean, whether there are people that you found out had just had horrible tempers off the set or, and the way they treated people, or people that hit their wives that people loved, watching every single night on television. And then you found out every wife the person ever had beat the hell out of their wives. And you're like, what, the guy was a piece of crap. But at night, you had no idea when you're watching them going, oh, I can't miss a show. But if you knew the way that person was, you would never support that person.
Right. Or the other side of that is like people have depression. See, when like actors and artists and things like that, they really they're pretty usually deep souls, right?
Yeah.
Or they're tortured souls. And so they have got all this going on, all this emotion going on inside to like draw from. So a lot of times when they're really great at their job, it's because they've got turmoil going on up
Yeah.
here, if that makes sense. So then that bleeds into other areas of their life. So you have like I think of Robin Williams, for
Yeah.
example. Like, loved that man, loved him, so talented, so amazing, a tortured soul, right? And you hear Jim Carrey speak about it. I think he's one of the people who are more open. So I loved. Let's talk about Jim Carrey. Totally amazing, talented, out there, and speaks on has some of the hard conversations. I feel like I love Will Ferrell. I mean,
Yeah.
he's an amazing person, and I feel like he does great things and does great movies, and we don't hear terrible things about him. So that's a very loaded question, because there's so, and then we can talk about women like Meryl Streep, who is amazing, and bow down to her. And then you have like Glenn Close, who's had this amazing career and is very current right now doing that show with Kim Kardashian. So it's like she's doing the Ryan Murphy show, right? And just killing it. And you never hear terrible things about her, and still can watch anything she's in and she's not going to disappoint. So there's just so many. And I feel like there's such ebb and flow to who's relevant and who's not in this industry. And there's so many people I'm probably missing, and I know I'm missing, but it's that's a tough question.
All right. Next one for you. Should men share their thoughts on women's issues like health and women's rights?
Only when they're sharing that they have no say in it. Only when you support us, okay? No, stay out of my vagina. Stay out
Yeah.
of my uterus. Get off my boobs. Unless you're here to understand that it's my body and it's my struggle, and it's so much more complicated than what they make it out to be. These men that feel like they can control women's bodies it's so crazy to me on so many levels. Like, I was just doing some research on endo, they call it endo.
I can't help you, but I know the word you're trying to say.
So it's a disorder that a lot of females and a lot of young females are dealing with, endometriosis. Forgive my pronunciation. And it's a uterine thing. So a lot of these young women that are dealing with that, if they were to get pregnant and they're trying to deal with this, it's something that is extreme hormonal imbalance that it makes it's almost dangerous.
Yeah.
If you were to get pregnant and you're struggling with that, like this could be a disastrous thing. Like just stay. There's so many things that men don't understand that women are going
Of
through.
course.
And if men were to experience just a little iota of it, there would be a cure. There would be a little blue magic pill like the men have to fix things. And we don't have that yet. So until you're ready to address what we go through with puberty, with all the hormonal imbalance, and then the menopause era, until you're ready to address that and help us out and figure our symptoms out, stay out of it.
Couldn't agree more. Next question for you. What's the most random thing you're good at?
I don't know if this is random, but I'm really good at like cleaning.
That's pretty good though.
I
Seriously, a lot
mean,
of people aren't.
I could be a housekeeper. I would probably be the best housekeeper you ever had. I'm the person that goes in all the corners. I dust every single thing off. Like I am thorough. Um, uh, so much so that I have to step back. So I'm really good at that. I'm really good at organizing too. I'm like a like consolidating and throwing shit out and getting
I'm
rid
not
of.
good at throwing stuff out. That's funny. I'm not good. Like it breaks my heart to throw things out. Or I keep thinking, what if I'm invited to an 80s party? I'm going to need this Guns N' Roses t-shirt. Like I can't throw stuff out. It sucks.
Well, some things are good to keep and hold on to. Like if that's something that, because the Guns N' Roses t-shirt, that's just cool. So you would keep something like that. But a lot of things like that I love and I think are worth keeping, I will give. It's not like I don't mean throw it away like in the garbage. There's plenty that goes in the garbage. But if it's something special, I am a big believer in I donate a lot. And I also am part of like the Buy Nothing groups on Facebook. So I give stuff away that I think somebody else could enjoy that still has a lot of life left. And for me, we do a lot of thrift shopping as well. Yeah. So I feel like it creates this good karma. If I give good stuff to Goodwill and all these thrift stores, then I'm going to receive like good stuff when I go into the store. I'm going to find treasures. So I'm big on that too. So
good deal. All right, next question. Have you ever known anyone who's been catfished?
No. Well, I don't know if this qualifies as catfishing because it really doesn't, but I would say no to that. But I do have a friend that married a man that was living a double life. And the reason I bring these together is because a lot of his had to do with like an online presence. And so as we started digging and finding things out about him, we found a lot of stuff online, and he was kind of living a double life online too. So
how do you afford it? How do you afford it? How can you afford to live a double life?
No,
it's hard enough to pull the trick off, but the money thing seems crazy.
Yeah, and affording it like emotionally and mentally too, right? So that's exhausting. I don't know. You have to be a certain kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So there's a famous person, probably the most famous catfish of all time, was a guy named Manti Te'o. Do you know that name?
No.
Okay, Manti Te'o was a star football player at the University of Notre Dame, and he was being catfished, believe it or not, by a family member out of California. So Notre Dame's actually in South Bend, Indiana, and out of California was a cousin, and the girl was supposed to be in Hawaii. And do you remember the story?
I have, yes.
Okay,
You're
yeah,
ringing all kinds of bells. Yeah.
I mean, it was wild how long it went on. And once it came out that he was catfished, and it's Notre Dame, and it's far from Southern California where I was doing a show. Man, I couldn't have made more fun of this guy and being the dumbest guy on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, how does this happen? Like the funeral's at 8 a.m. in the morning, and he couldn't make it back to Hawaii. It was just everything worked out that he just wasn't gonna be able to see her. Anyway, sure enough, the team that I covered, because I worked for the Charger station, they draft him. So now I got to see the guy. And all of a sudden, all the crap that I've said is now in my face because he's there. You know what I mean? And you know what sucks, Nicole? He was the nicest guy in the world. Like, he was super nice.
That's
And
why
didn't
he got
matter how good of
catfished.
a football player he was going to be. Yeah, that's why I got catfished. It didn't matter how good of a football player was. He was always going to be known as the guy that got catfished on a national level. And he never became the football player he was supposed to be in the pros. His career ended kind of fast, and it was ridiculous, you know?
And how crazy is that a family member would do that to you?
Cruel. Straight out cruel.
Just and you see it a lot. Like, I like that show Catfished.
Yeah.
And so I do watch that, and it's kind of amazing who it turns out to be. Sometimes it's people's best friends, sometimes it's their family members, sometimes it's their significant other.
Yeah.
Like, it's just wild to me. Yeah.
It's something else. All right. One more here from Shiloh. It says, Nicole, if you wrote a book about your life, what would the title be?
Well, I can't give that away because that might be something
that's
I'm
cool.
doing in my life.
Sweet.
I do write, and I'm not saying that it's
But just in case.
but yeah, I feel it's, and to go back to catfishing and how people don't have your best interest, I feel like sometimes talking about things, people don't have your best interest and their intent is not there for you. So to talk about things, I feel like can be dangerous because sometimes people will send you bad juju. But what I do think is that I hope you will hear about it soon.
Good. All right. Now we're talking. Again, perfectlytwistedpod.com. That's the website. The mailbag's at the top of the screen. If you want to leave questions for Nicole, go ahead and do it right there. But Shiloh, thank you so much for those.
Yes, thank you, Charlotte. Sorry I couldn't answer that one, but stay tuned.
All right.
All right, give us a like, give us a follow, a comment, all that good stuff, and we will catch you next week.